Hello, this is the Python Clinic and Dr. V is here again, and today we are going to be talking about building a Flask app from scratch. We're going to build a full stack application from start to finish. I noticed that all my tutorials on Python have been on virtual environment, hosting apps on Heroku, but I've never really taught any tutorial that explains how these applications are built. So today we're going to be talking about how to build a full stack application using Flask and using SQLite as our database. So I'll walk you through the entire process, but because of time, I'll just need you to flow along as much as possible. Alright, first of all, let's create a new folder for our project. I'll call mine Idea Store. So the idea behind this app is this. Many times we bring up ideas in our minds and we think of very cool ideas, but in a few days to come, these ideas are gone. So this app is meant to just help us store these ideas in a database so that we can always reflect on them later on and probably implement them. So we are going to be storing ideas, we are going to be editing and deleting as much as possible. We'll be carrying out all the CRUD operations on them. So I'll show you what it basically looks like, the one I already built, so you can have an idea of what I'm talking about. Okay, so this is the one I already built. I can enter an idea here. Let's say saving the world. You can enter your own idea the way you want, but let me just call mine saving the world. Yes, we are going to save the world all through our codes. Okay, and I save. Oh, you can see it here, it's already saved in my database. Okay, let's say I want to edit it. I just saw my typo here. I want to edit it now, and I can say yes properly, yes, and this saves it. So let me say saving the world through software development. Alright, update, and you can see it has updated. Let's say I type some gibberish text and save that. Yeah, it's saving, and more texts. I save it. Yeah, it's saved. Now let's say I don't want this one. I can delete it. Click delete and it's gone. I say I want to edit this one and say welcome to my Python clinic. See, Dr. V is here again, and I'm done. I save it, it's stored there. So basically we are going to be building this from scratch. So let's go back to the new folder we just created on desktop. We are going to create a couple of files and folders in it, but I would prefer to open this in my editor. I use Visual Studio Code because it has a lot of features. I don't know whichever one is best for you, you can work with that, but I'll be opening mine with VS Code, and I would like you to create the following files and folders. First, we're going to create a file called application.py. This is going to be the entry point of our application. Create another file, requirements.txt. This is where we're going to store all the dependencies for this application. Let's create our database file. Now I said I'll be working with SQLite as my database. Now SQLite helps you just have a database file that you can ship with your code. You can just move around. It's not really like PostgreSQL or like MySQL, where you have to set up your server, set up a lot of things. This one, all you just need is an application that helps you interact with the file, and you can push the files to people and they can easily use it. So it's just very nice for me. So I don't need to see the content of this file. We'll download an application that will help us view, or help us view a more presentable user interface for the database. Okay, next we're going to create two folders. One is called the static folder. So static. The second one is called templates. that should be in the root folder, not within static, but in the root folder. Create another one called templates. Now the static folder is going to contain all of our images, assets, our CSS, JavaScript, whatever you want to add there, but just your static files basically. So within your static folder, create a new file called styles.css. Alright, next we're going to create 3 files within the templates folder. Now the templates folder is where Flask actually checks for the views to render in the front end. So just right click in your templates folder and create index.html, create layouts.html, and lastly create edit.html. You can have as many pages as you want, but these are the ones I need for this application. So next we are going to open the layouts.html file. That is where basically all the things that are going to be repeated in various pages will be kept. So a lot of things are usually repeated. Like in my home page, I'll have some things that will be still displayed in my about page, in my contacts page, and all of that. All of these things can be kept in the layouts.html file. So basically the layouts.html file is meant to help you structure what the page will look like. Then you can be dynamically inserting contents based on what is supposed to be shown on the page. So because of time, I'm not going to type everything from scratch. I'll just copy the boilerplate code to start up our project, but I'll explain every bit of thing I'm doing here. I'm not so fast in typing like that. So this is just a simple boilerplate. Now if you look at this part where I have the title, it says idea store. That's the name I'm giving as the title of my app. But here this is Ginger syntax. Ginger is the templating engine that Flask uses to render pages. So this syntax here shows that wherever I insert this in my pages, when I extend this layout page, whatever I put within this, that's in the other pages, that is what will be rendered right here in this particular portion of the page. So for instance, say in my index.html, I have this line of code there, and within it I put welcome. What it will basically display when it is rendered will be welcome, like this, and this is what I want. So that's just basically like a placeholder for whatever you want to insert here. And this is my styles file, the one we just created, the CSS file. Now I have added the header here. This next line talks about the content I want to put in this placeholder. Now if you look at it, I have a placeholder title. Here I have a placeholder main. So you understand better when we create the home page. In the index page, when you see the content of my main, that's exactly what is going to be inserted in this placeholder. Okay, so next let's go to the index.html file and actually create what we have been talking about. So basically you start by saying, this is how Ginger syntax works. You open your curly braces and put your percentage sign and say extends. Now I'm going to be extending layouts.html, and you end with your percentage and the curly brace. Now next I'm going to have this is where my title is going to come in. Remember I talked of the block title, that's the placeholder for the title, and anything I put within it and the end block will be inserted exactly in that same spot where we had the placeholder, end block. So this is more like how the syntax goes for Ginger. So within this, for my index page, I'll just say welcome. So what that means is when you come to layout, what is going to be inserted here in place of this will be welcome. That's all. Alright, so next I want to insert the content of my main block. So I have block main, and I close with percentage and curly braces, and I can now put all the text I want to, all the HTML code I want to put. So first I'm going to create a form, and the form, just like we saw in the finished app, we have a form that collects the title of the idea and the details of the idea. So I'm going to just paste all that code because I don't want this tutorial to be too long. I'm actually going to share the code on GitHub so you can go through there and copy the code and pretty go through every line just to be sure you understand everything. But in order not to make it too long, I just have to do this. So I'll explain every bit of it. So this is the form tag. I'm passing in my /ideas as the value for my action attribute. So it means that in our application.py file, I'm going to create an ideas route. It means that whenever the form is being submitted, it goes to that route and executes whatever is there. So the method is post. I believe you understand what this is already. So I'm taking a text input for the title, and I'm taking a text area for the details. Then I have a save button, just like we saw in the one I already built. Now this part is what helps us render all of the ideas. You know, on the same page where I'm entering the ideas, I'm actually rendering all the ones that already exist in the database. So this is Ginger syntax. We have, this is how the for loop is done. For idea in data, this data part of it is what I am getting from the back end. By the time we build this up, I will show you how it all connects together. So I am receiving data from the back end, and it's coming as an array of ideas. So for each idea, I'm referencing it with this idea variable. So what that means is within this start of the for loop and the end of the for loop, everything I call idea is going to reference each of them and render all of them completely. So looking at the next line, I just have classes to help for my styling, and here I have loop.index. Now what it just does is it starts counting from 1, so I can have 1 dot the idea title. So in my database, I'm saving my ideas in title and details. So the title for each idea just displayed within this h4 tag. Then the idea details will be displayed within this div. That's what I have here, idea.details. So each of the ideas have title, they have details, they also have IDs. So I'll be using their IDs to reference them so that I can edit securely and also delete securely. So these two buttons are the edit and delete buttons. These are the edit and delete buttons, which will help us uniquely pick each of them and delete where necessary. So this is what I use to end the for loop. And remember, this is the main block. This is what I'm using to end that main block. So what this basically means is, if you come to the layout of HTML file, within this block main and end block, all the content I have from here up to this point will be inserted there. Then all of these parts will be rendered as well based on their dynamic values. Alright, so that's all for the index.html. Now let's quickly set up our database. Basically, I want you to download a GUI application that you can use to view your database. Let me close this, and you can go to Google, just type Table Plus. That's what I use basically for viewing databases, at least as of now. It just makes it easy for me to connect and do all of that stuff. So you come here, download the one that is fit for your system. I'm actually using a Windows system, so this is what I will download naturally. So click this and it downloads. You go to where it downloads and install it. After installing, you open it up. When you open it, you should see something like this. I already have it installed, so let me know about installing it. So after installing it, you should be greeted by this kind of page. Now I'm going to create a new connection. We're going to link to that our database file we created. Remember, we created a file ideas.db. So this is where we're going to connect to it. So you select SQLite, then you try to select the file. So navigate to where the file is. This is my desktop folder. I created ideas store. This is the ideas.db file I created. Nothing is inside it, so I can just connect to that. I can call it idea store tutorial. Alright, so you can test the connection. Just say test. You see connection is okay. If it's okay, then connect to it basically. So I'm connected now. I have nothing in my database. So first thing we're going to do is to actually set up our tables, or it's just one table we're going to have, the ideas table. So we'll set up the columns of the table. So I'm going to just copy the code, the SQL query we're going to use. So you can click this SQL icon here, and within there you can type any SQL query you have. So I can say create table and all of that stuff. Well, I'll just paste it at the same time. So this is, I'm creating an ideas table. It's taking an integer as the ID, which is set as the primary key. I'm auto incrementing it so that I won't have to be adding the IDs when I'm creating the ideas. All I just need to pass in will be the title and the details, and it generates the ID for me automatically. It starts from 1 and counts upwards like that. So I have a title set to variable character 255, then details set to text so that I can input as much text as you want. And you can say run selected. Now if you refresh, it says here not an error because there's no error. Not this grammar is funny. But you can just click Ctrl R, press Ctrl R rather, and that will refresh it, and you can see that we have an ideas table right now, and what is contained there is the ID, title, details, and date. So that's basically what we need to set up the database. Now we can be inserting files and inserting ideas from our application. Let's go back to the application, to application.py. Now we are going to start up the app. We're going to put the necessary dependencies. So first of all, we're going to have these first 3 lines that says import OS. That's required for it to work. We have this CS50 library I'm using. You can actually import the main SQL library, but connecting to the database and all of that for SQLite is not so straightforward. I just prefer this because it makes life easy for me. Connecting is very easy with the CS50 library. So from CS50 library, you import SQL. From Flask, you import Flask, redirect, render template, and request. So I will copy some other part of the code that there, and I'll explain what exactly is going on. So here in line 6, you can see I'm configuring my application using app equal to Flask underscore underscore name underscore underscore. That's basically what you use to configure the application. Here I'm making it such that templates are auto reloaded. So each of my pages are auto reloaded. Then I want to ensure that there is no catching, or is it catching or catching? Whatever. There is no catching. Yeah. Alright. Then this last part of it says DB is equal to SQL. Remember we imported SQL from CS50. That's what I'm using to connect to the database right now. And this is the syntax for it. In quotes you have SQLite column / then the name of the database. We created ideas.db, remember, on the left hand side. Here we can reference it here by just putting the name of the database file because it's within the root folder. Alright, so that's all we have for now. The next thing we're going to do is to go to the requirements.txt file. Remember we are using these 2 libraries, CS50 and Flask. This OS part comes by default already. So you go to your requirement.txt and bring in these 2. Just take them here. This is just like how package.json works for those that know how to use Node.js. You can insert your dependencies and it installs them for you. Now if you remember, or for those who have watched my earlier tutorials, you see where I created a virtual environment. So I'm going to need a virtual environment to run this. The virtual environment is just like a mini server where you run your application and see how it will work on an actual server. So we're going to be creating a virtual environment here. If you're not sure how to do that, I'll put the link to that video that explains how virtual environments work and how to create them both on Windows and Linux. So you can actually just check that link for how to do that. But I'm assuming that everyone here should already have that knowledge. So you can open your terminal or you go to your command prompt, and within that, if you have already installed the virtual environment package, you can easily create one now. So just navigate to the folder, our roots folder, where we created, which we created on desktop. Wherever I created, you just navigate to that path. Then you can say virtual env. Then you you add the name of the virtual environment you want to create. So I'm saying virtual env venv. So the name of my environment is venv in this case. So it takes a while to do this, and after it's done, I'll continue. It's just trying to set up the environment basically. Okay, so it's done. So we have our virtual environment already created. If you look to the left hand side, you can see there's a folder here called venv. That is actually our virtual environment. So what that means is we can actually be storing as many dependencies we want installed within this environment. All the dependencies that we need to run a particular application, we can install them within that environment. And if you find the environment suitable for running another application in a different folder, you can easily just come and activate this environment and use it to run the application. So I'm going to activate my environment by saying venv. I'm using a Windows system. Remember, for those using Mac or Linux, the command will be a little different. So I'm having venv /scripts /activate. So once I do that, you can see by the left hand side I have venv in brackets. That shows that the virtual environment has been activated. So the next thing we want to do is to install our requirements within this environment. All you need to do is say pip install. I assume that you already have Python installed in your system. If you don't have it, then all of this won't have worked in the first place. So you must have had Python installed. Same thing with the pip. If you watch the virtual environment tutorial, you must have done all of that. So you have pip install -r requirements.txt. So what this is saying is go to the requirement.txt file, which is what we created here. That's what is open right now, and read through each line, and whatever you read, install it. That's also a thing within that environment. So once I do enter, you see it says collecting Flask. It's trying to install that as red Flask there. You also see that it collects CS50 and installs both packages for me. So that might take a while. Once it's done, we'll move on. Alright, so it's done. It has basically installed what we need. The next thing I'm going to do is to set my Flask app to the application.py. I can say set flask_app equal to application.py. What I'm basically telling you is my Flask application is that file called application.py. So it goes there and enters through that file. If you are on Linux, you'll be having export. I think the same thing for Mac. So I've set it already by doing this. So we're not going to close this terminal yet because very soon we'll be running the app to see how it works. So let's go back to application.py and let's render something. Let's create a route. So we are going to create the index route, which is more like the default route that it goes to when the application is loaded. So let me just paste this code. I'll explain it. This says app.route, meaning that go to this route. When you get to this /route, render this function. So the function is named index, and what it's basically doing, this is a comment showing that it renders the index page. Now remember, I have db equal to SQL, and this I connected to my SQLite database and saved the variable with db. So db is what I'm using to execute all of my SQL queries. Remember, this SQL query select star from ideas means select everything you have in ideas. If there's nothing, it just comes with an empty array. So but it comes as an array which is stored in this variable called rows. Now I want to render my front end. My front end is the index.html page I want to render. Remember when we talked about the index.html, I told you we'll be receiving data from the backend. It will be coming in the name data. This is where we're actually setting that. I am sending my rows and assigning it to a variable called data, which is what is sent when this template is going to be rendered. So what it simply means is that on the front end, what we'll be receiving here is an array of all the things that the database is giving us. Okay, basically that's all for now. Let's render this page and see how it works. So you come back to your command prompt or your terminal and say flask run, sorry, enter, and now you can see running on http . Now this is the URL for running the app, so you can copy this and paste it in your browser and run it. But thanks to VS Code, I can just control click this and it displays on my browser. Whoa, beautiful. You can see idea store, title, details, and save. This is awesome, right? I know this looks terrible. We need to do some styling. So let's come back to our application. Let's go to the CSS file and do a little bit of styling so that we can have it more presentable. So because of time, I'm going to just copy my code and paste it there. All right. So, but basically, this tutorial is not directed at teaching you CSS. So I guess you already know all of this. So this is the body. I'm styling the body, styling H1, H3, H4 tags. The form, styling and giving the background. The input and text area, I'm styling them. I'm styling the button. This is the color I'm using for the button and all of this. So you can just look through it. It's pretty straightforward. Now we're going to rerun the app. Anytime you want to stop the server and run the app, you can stop the server with a Ctrl+C. I've stopped it. I want to run it again. Flask run. Sometimes you might actually have to stop and rerun, especially when you've done something. I think mostly on the back end. It needs you to stop the app and restart it again. So I've stopped it and I've restarted. Now if I go back to my browser and I refresh the page, I can see a beautiful idea store. Yeah, this is cool, right? Yeah. But if you type something now, let's say hello people, and let's say welcome home, and I save, it doesn't do anything because there is no routes for /ideas yet. So we are going to create that so that we can be sure that all of our ideas are being saved in the database. As you can see, the video is already getting too long, so let's just end it at this and continue in the next video. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye.